City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. I'm your host, Alex Gehring. You might remember a few episodes back, we talked about cybersecurity with Tracy Hawkins. We were talking about cybersecurity, but also talking about realtor safety. September was Realtor Safety Month. October is actually Digital Safety Month, or something like that. Cybersecurity Month. That's obviously something that's extremely important. Tracy talked a little bit about it. I've got a good friend that a lot of you know who has experienced a cybersecurity breach directly. It's a very common scam. We want you to be aware of it, but also I want you guys to learn a little bit about this guy and his journey. We're going to bring in Brent Sledd. Let's go get Brent. Welcome back to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. I am here with Brent Sledd. Brent, how are you doing today?
Every day is a great day.
Every day is a great day, Brent. Brent, you are known to be a fantastic co-op agent, in addition to being a top producer. I guess it's a pretty basic question, but what is it about you that makes you so easy to work with?
I think a few things. Every day I feel privileged to get to do what I do. I feel like I got the best job in the world. Everybody wonders when I'm going to retire after 43 years. The answer is probably never, because I call this a paid social life. I love what I do. I love people. I love making a positive difference in people's lives, whether it's a co-op agent, another realtor, a friend, client, whatever. But I think I got the right mindset for all I care is making people happy.
There you go. Brent, when you, before you got into real estate, where did you work?
I worked at Hallmark for a number of years. I actually started working for Hallmark when I was 18, working on the factory floor in Topeka. I did that for about 5 years. Along the way, I saw one of those get rich in real estate ads in the newspaper. Took the seminar, bought the books and tapes, and then I started buying rental properties. So within 3 months or 6 months, I had 3 rental properties. I'm probably not proud of any of them, that looking back at what they were and where they were, but it got me started. So by the time I bought that third one, I thought, this guy's making a commission every time I buy a house, so I might as well get my real estate license and get a commission every time I buy a house. So I did that, and the next thing you know, my Hallmark friends on the factory floor are buying houses from me, and so it kind of took off. But I thought, if I want to really take it to the next level, I'm not going to do it in Topeka, Kansas. So I decided to put a transfer request in for Hallmark Kansas City. And my lucky day was they called me and offered me a job scrubbing toilets at night at Hallmark in Kansas City. So I took that job to get my foot in the door here. And I got lucky. I only had to do that for about 6 weeks. They had an opening on the day shift, and I ended up being a furniture mover. So at the time, we had 7,500 people working at Hallmark. We had 2.5 million square feet of office, warehouse, and manufacturing space. So I was out delivering Hallmark or furniture all day, every day, and I got to know a lot of people just roaming the halls. And a lot of those people used me as their realtor. So I did that job for 5 years. And until I went to night school and got my degree, and then I got the salary job my last 13 years there. But anyway, but just got to know a lot of people and built up a network, and they'd tell their family and friends and the coworkers, and word spread. And I actually worked for Hallmark for 24 years, did this on the side for 20. So
wow.
Anyway.
I'm curious because I know you work really hard, and you're always moving, right? How many hours were you working in real estate while you were also working at Hallmark?
Oh, God. I was a bad workaholic.
Yeah.
70, 80, 90. I don't know how many hours were in the week.
Yeah.
But,
because you were working full time.
Full time, yeah.
Really?
7 to 3:45 at Hallmark. And, at one point I was selling new homes on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and then showing, listing during the week. I mean, guaranteed I would have no life doing that. I finally, after 3 years, gave that up back in the 90s, and did Somerset Meadows, Somerset Woods, some of those subdivisions. But anyway, I finally gave that up, and then my resale business really took off. So it was absolute craziness.
Yeah.
Absolute craziness.
When you were working, at what point, what was it that made you realize that it was time to walk away from Hallmark?
So it used to be that you could retire at 50 at Hallmark. They changed their rules to retire at 55. So that split second, I knew that was my time to give it up. Because the other part of that is, too, I told my wife way back when, in the 80s, I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep buying houses until I run out of money. And I would use my Hallmark money to make a living, but I'd just put my real estate money on the side, and I'd use that money to buy rental properties. So all of a sudden, I got 15 rental properties, 3 kids.
Oh, my gosh.
Full-time Hallmark, full-time and real estate. It was something had to go. And then so I gave up the day job, and then the real estate really took off. So
you still buy rental property?
I still do, yeah.
And you manage them all yourself, don't you?
They're easy.
They're easy. Well, I don't know.
Nah.
We should talk a little bit about that. You say they're easy, and again, things that are easy for you might not come as naturally for everybody. It was Dave Ramsey that was recently, I don't know if you saw it, Dave Ramsey was recently talking about how everybody talks like real estate ownership is passive income, and I believe that his exact words were, there is nothing passive about it. You're a landlord. Like you gotta take care of your property, you gotta take care of your tenants. Sometimes you're dealing with people that aren't paying, sometimes you're dealing with eviction, you're dealing with capital expense, you're dealing with all sorts of things that a lot of people aren't really built for, and they don't know that until they experience it. But you say it's easy. Talk to me about that, especially when you were doing it with, did you say 15 units?
15 of them.
Wow, you were selling real estate full-time and working for Hallmark full-time. Somehow.
Yes.
What does that look like when it's easy?
Well, I'm not working at Hallmark anymore. I did 3 different jobs with 15 rental properties.
When you were, how did that work?
Here's how it works. First of all, I have a high tolerance for pain. Second of all, anybody that knows me has heard me say multiple times, stress is a choice, and I usually choose not to. So whatever happens, it happens, and I deal with it, but I just don't let anything stress me out, no matter what I got going on. I try to stay even keel all the time. But you know what I figured out? So I don't own the properties that I'm not proud of in Topeka anymore that were a challenge. What I did is I started on a path probably 6-7 years ago of building brand new houses. So I 1031 exchanged some of my properties I'd had a long time and built brand new ones like South Overland Park, West Lenexa. I always say I'd rather have one 750 house than 3 250s. So I think I've gotten a lot smarter that way of buying nice properties that people take care of. Cash flow isn't as good, but the appreciation has been insane.
Yeah. And when did you start that journey? And I guess, and we can edit this out if you'd like, but I'm curious, how many units do you have now?
So I got 12 right now.
You got 12 right now. So it's a reduction in units from the 15.
Right.
But
exactly.
you also own a different type of property then, and you feel like that's one of the reasons why it's easy and manageable.
Absolutely. I hope nobody takes this idea and starts to compete with me, but I do things that other people might be fearful of. One of my properties is $1.1 million. I rent it for $6,000 a month. I mean, and I haven't lost a day in 6 or 7 years, because I get the best quality tenants on that. So that's just one example of how much easier it is. But I'd rather own that one than 4 of them for $275.
Sure.
It's a lot easier that way.
That's pretty unique to you. I don't think there are a lot of people that are buying up property that are at that level and then renting that out. But
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of patience, a lot of
capital.
It takes a lot of risk tolerance is what it takes, and I do feel like I own really good property. And I started out this 44 years ago buying rental property, and I've had one solid piece of advice I'd give everybody: buy houses that are easy to resell. If they're easy to sell, they're easy to rent, and they appreciate better. And if you follow that one rule in buying rental property, you should do fine.
Before we got started, you said something about your niche, and we didn't get into exactly what that was because we wanted to talk about it here. But every top producer that I talk to, they tend to have a source of business that has been the strongest for them. For some, they can boil it down to what they consider to be a board of advisors, right? For others, it's philanthropic work and giving, understanding that if you give, you'll receive. What is yours?
So my initially was Hallmark, and I still do a lot of Hallmark business after all these years. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, do a lot of tailgating, and I know a lot of other Chiefs fans. I don't know. I tend to be a man about town. I go to a lot of happy hours and never miss a realtor party and things like that, or Halloween parties, I just have met a lot of people through the years, and I think people feel comfortable referring me, and I think that's the biggest thing that I would say about my business is that you try to create raving fans that are excited about referring you, But I think that's my thing is just I know so many people, around town in all walks of life, and I've got one big company in town here that. I sold a house to the head of the company 8 years ago, and it's probably generated 30-plus referrals through the years. And that's buying and selling. Then they move out, and you get them again, So anyway.
What do you think makes people so comfortable referring you business?
I try to give everybody a great experience. I think probably my greatest strength is one of my greatest weaknesses is that I'm not a salesman. I think everybody that works with me knows I don't care anything about selling them a house. I care about them making a good decision, making a very well-informed decision. And I emphasize from the very first time I talk to them, I'm not a salesman. I don't care about selling you a house. I don't care about commission checks. I care about helping you make a good, informed decision without feeling like you were ever being sold anything. I think I have a list of very tough inspectors and things like that. I always say, for better or for worse, I want you to know what you're getting, and if it's the right thing to walk away, then that's what you ought to do. And if it's the right thing to not buy a house right now and rent, everybody knows I'm looking out for them, and I don't look out for me at all. It's just giving that experience that where they feel comfortable referring me out. I think one of my biggest strengths too is I got a great Rolodex. So if they want their house painted, if they want carpet done or hardwoods, I pretty much know the price of what they're going to pay for things. And I've got great people I send a lot of work to that I know are going to consistently take care of them and give them top quality for a great price. But I think that's things like that where, I would say there's 13,000 of us. What makes you different? Why would they use me instead of you? And I think that's a big part of my thing is my value proposition is my Rolodex, my really good people for anything they can think of.
What do you think it is? I know that a lot of people want to not be a salesperson, right? I think that, and we hear that a lot, right? We don't want to have commission breath. We don't want people to feel like that's the one thing that we're focused on is selling them a house. And yet, people have economic pressure and social pressure. They need this as income, and when times are difficult, right? It's easy to let some of that need drift into the relationship or the transaction. As hard as one might try, it's easy to allow that to creep in, and the consumer always knows, right?
Yeah.
They can always sense that. What do you think it is about your career and your trajectory that has allowed you to truly maintain that feeling of I don't really care if they buy a house or not, and do that so authentically?
I think it starts with, just truly caring about people and caring about relationships and things like that. But, I think if you don't look at it the right way, that way, I think you're in the wrong business. You need to find a different line of work.
This might not be the role for them or the work that they ought to be doing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your beginnings, right, where you were working for Hallmark and selling real estate at the same time, and the fact that you were living on your Hallmark income and that the real estate income was effectively gravy or was meant to be invested, do you feel like that sets you up for success in your ability to separate your monetary need from your clients' desires?
I do. As a kid, we had nothing extra. Our folks raised us, if you want something, you got to do it yourself. If I wanted McDonald's, I had to buy McDonald's. If I wanted to go to Dairy Queen, I had to pay for it myself. If I wanted to go to college, I had to pay for it myself, and I chose not to. If I wanted a car, I had to pay cash for a car. So we were raised that way, that you kind of fend for yourself. The food wasn't that great as a kid growing up, so I like to eat, so I got a paper route, so I could buy Pop-Tarts and some of that stuff that I enjoyed.
You had a paper route?
I had a paper route from fourth grade.
Wow.
So really, that's where my career started, from fourth grade. It's been going the whole time since then.
Yeah, so you started in fourth grade. How long did you have that paper route?
Probably at least a couple of years.
What did you do after that?
I actually went to junior high.
Sure.
And then when I was 15, I started working for Hardee's.
Okay.
Then I think at 16, I worked for McDonald's. Then my big break in life, when I was 17, I got on with a grocery store and did that. But, I think that work ethic and truly caring about doing a good job, my dad told me, if you're scrubbing toilets or whatever you're doing, just be the best at it, and I try to kind of live that way and be the best I can at whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. Brent, it's really rare for somebody to read a get-rich-quick and real estate book and come out actually doing it. And I think I think that the way I think maybe those used to be better than they are now. I don't know. What do you have to say about that? You might be the only person that I know who says that your start in the business really was from somebody telling you that a good way to make a lot of money quickly was through real estate.
That's right. Oh, and
I'm serious. I don't think I know anybody else who has had success with any kind of a program or any kind of a book that says something like that.
And not only that, they tried to bait you with, you can buy real estate with nothing down, And
yeah.
Back in 1981, we weren't buying property with nothing down, but I guess in a sense I was. I had a car that was paid for, so I financed my car to turn around and buy an $18,000 house.
Oh my gosh!
I did things like that. But I knew I didn't want to work in a Hallmark factory for the rest of my life too.
Yeah.
That did that for long enough, and it served a great purpose. But I just knew I wanted something better, and I knew I had some potential to do more than what I was accomplishing. But I was a little slow learner, sticking around there for 24 years. But I think, like I say, I'm a little higher on the risk tolerance scale than most people, and I kind of use that to my advantage. I can't tell you how many people told me how crazy I was that, buying rental property and people are going to tear up your house, they're not going to pay you, and all those kinds of things.
Right.
And it was very true in the beginning. I had a lot of that. When I had 15 properties, it was out of control. I had places sitting empty and, people not paying me and things like that. But over the years, I've kind of gotten better at that, and I just don't have hardly any trouble. I mean, I don't have any major trouble. It's been years since I had somebody not pay me, things like that.
Yeah. And so from that point, right, you got into rentals, you started selling, you've had a variety of roles, right, as well. You've been a leader as well. You've managed people. What's your favorite thing to do of all of whether it's a landlord, a salesperson, management, mentorship, whatever it is? What is your favorite part of this business?
My favorite part is still absolutely nailed it. I had a closing yesterday, just absolutely nailed it. I've got so many good stories, of people that I've just made really happy where they're like, oh my gosh, I really am going to get this house. Winning bidding wars. I love those things, the high of, making your client really, really happy when there's 15 offers and yours is the one that wins, It's those kinds of things that make me really happy. And the other thing too, you talk about the leadership and things like that, but I do love giving back. I do love the mentoring, and I love, I have a lot of realtors call me just for advice. They're like, man, what would you do in this situation? Or, can you help me out? And that makes me tick. I get a lot of those phone calls, believe it or not. And I just absolutely love helping people out. And, it's kind of cool to be that go-to guy that somebody thinks enough of me and my opinions and my knowledge that they'd reach out to me. It's satisfying.
I'm curious about this because I'm always curious on something like this. You say that you don't care whether or not you sell that person a house, right? Are you competitive? As an individual, you are this year, right? You're likely to be one of the top individuals, if not the top individual salesperson in Kansas City, individual salesperson, right? Are you competitive? Do you care about competing?
I'm not competitive. I just don't want to lose.
There you go.
I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? There's a part of me that is competitive. Like, I've been with Weichert for 2 years now, and as of September, I was number one in the whole company for the country. I'm number two now, and I'm like, it's not going to bother me if I finish number two.
I'm looking at your face. It bugs you a little bit.
But, I prefer to be number one.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Now, I don't have 7 people either, so,
Yeah, well, right.
But excuses are for losers, though. So, anyway, that's just an excuse.
So, that competition, right? Were you an athlete, or what kind of sparks that competition thing for you? What was the first thing you found yourself to be competitive in?
I think when you find yourself being number one, then that's kind of who you want to be.
Yeah.
And
becomes part of you.
And I do kind of joke around about it. I do, because I'm just me. I'm just me. And I don't. Nothing bothers me. Things just don't bother me, So if I'm number 2 or 3, then I'm like, yeah, I'd rather be number 1, but I'm still okay.
We've talked about quite the journey here, right? The journey from working at a factory floor, scrubbing toilets in Kansas City, and then being number 1 as an individual agent in Kansas City. I mean, that's a journey. How have you changed in that journey? Obviously, you've got your business.
Yeah.
But how have you changed?
First of all, I probably won't be number 1 in the whole city. I'll be up there, but I may not be number 1, and that's okay. Nobody even knows because of the way statistics are reported. But
sure.
Anyway, I think I've changed in being appreciative of what I got, very appreciative. I've changed in things not bothering me. And I'll tell you a story that I've shared many times. Back not too long after I left Hallmark, I hired Debbie Fleet, and then we became business partners for over 10 years. And I'll never forget this. I'll call it a God moment, but I was so overwhelmed back then. When I left Hallmark, my business skyrocketed. And I was a mess. I was up there faxing contracts at midnight, and I was, so busy, overwhelmed. I had about a 30-hour-a-week assistant, but I didn't have the right one at the time. So when Debbie and I started working together, she shadowed me for about the first 3 or 4 months. And I remember we went to this listing appointment out in Olathe, and we'd leave there I look at my phone. I go, oh my God, my phone's blowing up. I get all these texts and phone calls and everything that we need to take care of. And so anyway, so Debbie, she says, stop that. And I said, what? She said, you got to stop these outbursts. She says, we're going to go back to the office. We're going to figure out what needs to be done. We're going to divide and conquer, and we're going to figure it out. And you know what? It was one of the super powerful moments. Life's about moments. If you think about some of the moments in your life, some of them are really powerful, and that one was. And from that time on, working over 10 years with Debbie, her daily sense of humor, her not making a big deal out of things, her have fun with this business because it's a great place to be. Just that positive influence changed me as a person. I'm not a mess anymore. I was a mess because I was so overwhelmed. And now even if I'm overwhelmed, I'm not overwhelmed. If I got too much going on, I still figure out, okay, I got to have a plan. I got to do this, and I can have this person help me with this. And I just don't allow myself to get overwhelmed or stressed out, no matter what the situation.
It probably, to your point earlier, it probably really demonstrated to you that you had to have the right assistant. How long have you had Ellie?
So Ellie's been with me a little over 10 years now, and Ellie's been absolutely life-changing for me. She takes care of a lot of details. I don't like paperwork. I don't like details. Mm-hmm. I like somebody to help me with all that and kind of help me with my scheduling and things like that. But, if you look at this business, there's a whole lot of things that are time sucks. There's things that are my time's worth a whole lot per hour. Is it worth me to go meeting photographers, meeting stagers, to, all those things, picking up signs and lockboxes, all those things that just suck your time where you can let go of it. So I think, anybody needs to look at their whole business and say, these are all the activities I do. These are the ones that are worth my time to do
that
at
you're
my
good
hourly
at.
rate,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm good at,
mm-hmm.
negotiating and meeting with people face-to-face, all those kinds of things. Whereas, I can pay Ellie, or I can pay my stager, I can pay my photographer. Just think of all these people in your business that pay them to do what they do and do what you do best. And it allows me to be 10 places at once and things like that. Don't be afraid to let go of some things. If I got a $2 million buyer and I got 3 buyers I'm working with and it just doesn't work out, I'd have no problem sending Ellie to show a $2 million buyer for me. Mm-hmm. Things like that, things that I never would have given up in the past. I'm willing to give some of that up for my enjoyment and for my allowing me to keep my stress-free life.
That's important. I think that 10-year relationship has been a really, really strong relationship, and I think it's a relationship that a lot of people are familiar with, but finding that person is really hard. So can you talk a little bit about how you identified Ellie and how that relationship started?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm proud to say over 10 years, we've never had one argument yet, and we're not going to have any arguments. So anyway, find that person that's got that right attitude, the cheerful attitude where, they don't complain. We all have things to do, and find that person that you're compatible with, that you can have fun with, and things like that. But, in my situation, I got lucky. I kind of rewind way back when. I'll kind of get you an answer to that. But if you look at back when I worked at Hallmark, even when I worked at Hallmark, I had an assistant, So what I did back then, would have been the 90s. There was an agent in my office I really liked, and she was kind of like $1.5 million producer back then, which wasn't terrible back in the day. But anyway, just kind of struggling to get her business going. So what I did, I hired her as an agent. And the way I did it was I was took the chicken out route. So back in those days, I didn't want to hire a full-time person and be responsible. Well, they gave up another job to take my job. And I've got this huge responsibility. And what if my business goes down or whatever? So what I did is I'd hire part-time assistants. And what I did with her is, I'd also encourage her to list and sell properties. And she was on my team. So every time she sold something, I got paid. So it kind of helped offset what I was paying her. So I think, I've told a lot of agents that through the years. I think it's not a bad way to start out if you're thinking about using an assistant, that maybe get that person that's not, that wants some steady income. But then you can have them listing and selling and take a cut of what they sell, and it offsets it, makes it more affordable to have that person. And it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe throw them a buyer or a seller once in a while, things like that. But you always make it so that they would want to stay around. You have fun. You don't, be the big bad boss. You have fun and enjoy this business and things like that. But with Ellie, I got lucky. She was actually the file, I don't know, I call him the file sheriff.
The compliance person.
The compliance person, yeah, in our office. And she was actually in the process of getting her real estate license and was going to go out and do that. And so anyway, we started talking, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
I love it. Well, Brent, there's something that I want to talk to you about, and I know that you've talked about it publicly. October is Digital Safety Month. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but
October
I can appreciate that much.
October is Digital Safety Month, and September is Realtor Safety Month, right? I think that digital safety has become increasingly a concern, right? I think that especially in our industry, salespeople may or may not be the best with technology. Some of them embrace technology fully, and that's what makes them really effective. Other people, that is not their forte.
It's not me.
And it's not what they're focused on, right? And frankly, Brent, I think that a lot of people with your level of production, it isn't technology that's doing it for them, right? So with that creates some challenges and creates some risks within our industry for digital safety. I know that for me, I have to go through these phishing tests. It's terribly obnoxious. But as an employee, right, I get these tests in, and if I don't identify it as a phishing scheme, I'm penalized, right? Mm-hmm. If I click the wrong thing, it's an issue, and it's been very educational. I don't think we do those anymore, thankfully. But you learn. I mean, you make a mistake like that, and then you learn to identify these things really, really effectively. You went through something that really impacted you earlier this year. What was it in March?
It was in March of this year. Yeah.
March of 2025. Your Facebook got hacked. Let's start with that. How did it happen, and where were you, and what was that moment like?
Well, let me start out by saying I always say stress is a choice. I usually choose not to. I chose to stress out over that.
Yeah.
I've had my Facebook for a long time, and one day I get a text saying, did you sign in from Uruguay? Another day, did you sign in from New York? Another day, did you sign up from wherever else? And so anyway, I just kept saying no. Mm-hmm. And but you knew somebody was phishing. They were out trying to get me on something.
Yeah.
So
did you know that at the time?
No, I just suspected it. Just because I was getting so many of them from different places.
You knew something wasn't right.
Something wasn't right. So anyway, I thought, okay, well, I'm not that worried about it, because if they try to get to me, they got to do this two-step authenticator and send me a text to my phone number for me to approve, So I still, to this day, have no idea how they got in there, but what they were able to do is they're somehow able to change that two-step authenticator on my phone, on my account, to being a Gmail address. That was the two-step, is a Gmail address that I had no control over whatsoever. So to this day, I don't know what happened, but I wake up one Monday morning, and all of a sudden, I'm getting all these phone calls and texts and emails saying, hey, looks like you got hacked. So that's where it all started.
Mm-hmm. So some people recognized it quickly.
They did. So what they did, they were able to even while this two-step thing had changed this other email, I still had access to my account, so I just couldn't go in and change my email. I couldn't do anything like that. But somehow, some way, they took it over. So what they did is they put this ad out on Facebook, just a post on Facebook saying, hey, my uncle died. I'm going to be out of town taking care of business. I have all these things I'm selling, cars and golf carts and lawn equipment and all these different things, at ridiculously low prices. And I mean, everybody's calling. Between Monday and Wednesday, I think I logged well over 1,000 calls, texts, and emails from people. Everybody was like, "Hey, did you know you got hacked?" Or, "Hey, I want to buy that truck." Or, "Is this legit?" All this stuff, and it was absolutely life-changing, And I love my Facebook account. I look at it, at least look at it every day. I post things once in a while, but it's a part of my daily life, and right. To have that taken away from me, that's what sucked. I had 3,800 friends out there. I do, and to start a new Facebook account, to know who those 3,800 people are, to miss out on the things going on in their lives and things like that, or people that care about things going on in my life, to have that totally taken away from me by some scammer somewhere, very depressing, very life-changing,
Not to mention the fear that some of those people might have wired some of that, because I believe, didn't the post have something in it about how all you needed to do to reserve whatever it was that you wanted to buy was send a non-refundable deposit, or send a deposit in to a Venmo account or something like that. And just were there people that fell victim to that?
Yeah, that was the worst part too. I mean, my Facebook, I'm fine. I still got a good life. And if I got to recreate it, then, I'm still okay. The thing is, they put out that post, like, a nice truck for $10,000. Give me a $2,000 deposit. And
it's yours.
And it's yours. And when I get back to town, if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. I mean, it's a great scam. And it's the same one that many people have done this many times through the years. The exact same one, same pictures, same postings, things like that. So that was worse than anything that happened to me.
Because it was
to see
different.
My friends get ripped off.
Yeah, and it was different when it appeared to be coming from Brent Sledd.
Yeah.
It was different because they, like you said before, they trust you, right, on your to refer people to you, right? They trust you to have their best interest in mind when buying and selling real estate. You have a long, tried and true career in this field, and you're active on social media, and it played probably into people's trust as well, that they knew that you would be the kind of person that would 100% make sure that they got their money back, and that you probably didn't care too much about the money. You just needed to get this job done and needed to sell this stuff for your uncle. It probably worked better for you because of all of the things that make you successful as an agent.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think the part about, hey, send me the money, and if you don't want it when you see it in person, you get a refund. I mean, it's a very well done. And I think that, the fact that it was me, and I know a lot of people, and people that trust me, I do think that played into why it was successful, as I found out eventually.
Yeah. How did you handle it from there? How did you make sure that word got out? I know that I texted you, and I know that a lot of people texted you to make sure that you knew about it. And I know that a lot of people were able to identify it. But if I went back and I looked at that post not too long ago, I think it's since deleted, but I was able to go back. There were a couple of hundred, maybe even like 300 likes on that post, and tons of responses and comments, right? Which again isn't terribly uncommon for this. So how did you handle that and make sure to get the word out?
Yeah, so I was totally locked out, and like everybody that reached out to me, I'd say, hey, go to this Facebook. I can't remember what it was exactly, but go to this part of Facebook and report it.
Right.
That's a scam. And I don't know if that helped or not.
Right.
Because Facebook is this kind of faceless
Yeah.
organization where you can email. There's no phone number. You can email them. You're probably not going to hear anything. And I'm not going to share what happened, but I got very, very lucky. I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that was able to help me get my account back. And I was so lucky, too, because this all happened on Monday. The bad day was Monday. By Friday, I got it back. And from everything I hear, it's very rare that anybody gets their Facebook account back.
Very rare.
I just happen to know the right person that knew the right person that knew the right person. So when I got it back, the first thing I did is went to all my Facebook messages that had happened that week. And I tell you, I was in tears. I saw so many stories of people like, you can Venmo or Cash App or I think Zelle may be another one. But I see all these thousands of dollars people are paying, in some cases $5,000, in more than one case $5,000, that they're sending as deposits and thinking they're getting a good deal on something. And I mean, there was a bunch of people that got took.
Yeah.
I don't know what the dollar amounts were, but it was lots and lots of money that was exchanged, and lots of my friends that got screwed.
It's heartbreaking.
That is, yeah.
If you had to estimate, how many people do you think got lost money?
I'd say probably, just from what I know, probably 30 or 40 people.
Wow. Wow.
And some of us $400, some of us
right.
$5,000.
And that money's just gone.
It's
right?
gone.
There's no way to recover funds that are hijacked in that way.
I really don't think there is at all.
They should report it to the FBI, to be clear, but
yeah, what are they going to do?
Exactly, the success rate there is limited. Mm-hmm. You also took it to the media.
I did
on your own volition. What was that experience like?
So I do have friends in the media, and so I reached out to one guy in particular that's very influential in town. I said, "Hey, I think I got a good story for you here." And they jumped on it immediately. That next day they had a meeting, and they were at my house interviewing me that same day or the next day. So anyway, it was very widely broadcast. A friend of mine on the radio, I reached out to her as well, and she told the story and got the word out and had me on the air and things like that. So I would hate for this to happen to anybody. I think, locking your account down, the two-step, and maybe and beyond, doing some things beyond that. But I don't think most of us know anybody that's gotten hacked like that bad, with that many people losing money. So I think it's just important to get the word out and to make people aware of what could happen.
Mm-hmm. I think, in fact, I know that it's happening way more frequently than we think it is. Just because I think that so many people are so afraid to tell the story when it happens. So one thing I want to do, obviously, is thank you for sharing today and for doing everything you could to spread the word. But since that happened, Brent, I know 3 other people who have been hacked in similar ways, who lost their accounts either temporarily or still do not have access to their accounts, pushing crypto schemes, pushing similar things as to what you experienced, where, send me this money and you'll reserve a spot to be able to buy this, that, and the other. I think they've gotten a little bit smarter on the way that they're doing that, and they're doing it in like small bursts, and it's like a small, slow drip so that it's a little harder to identify. I think AI is making it easier for some of these scammers to do this. I think what's important is people understand that when it happens, privacy is important too. But if you're capable doing what you did and telling the story and making sure to spread awareness of it is so important. We need to hear these stories so that we understand that when somebody talks about it, it isn't just people making stuff up or coming up with the next thing to be scared of. We live in this world where people are coming up with things to be scared of 24/7. And on the surface, when you tell somebody to watch out for something like this, it just sounds like another thing to be scared of. And you being willing to tell that story today and multiple other times in the past, I think is really important. I wish more people would be willing to do that.
Yeah, and I've always been an open book. If you read my Facebook, if you know me, there's other things in my life. The death of my son and some things like that. And I've always just been. I'm not embarrassed by anything. I'm just if I can help somebody avoid this, then why wouldn't I get the word out? It's a story that needs to be told as people, and not only about getting hacked, but about all the scams of people getting ripped off by getting good deals on trucks and golf carts and things like that. Just raise the awareness of things like that.
Absolutely.
And believe it or not, it's unbelievable how many people, I've seen this on other people's posts before too, the exact same one.
Yep.
It's convincing, but apparently it's still working.
It works. It works.
Anyway, at least more
terrifying.
people know about that particular story or think of other stories
That's right.
that they need to be aware of.
Brent, we're coming up on the end of our time. I'm curious, was there anything else that you wanted to share with the group today? We didn't really talk about involvement with KCRAR, but you're obviously heavily in production, but in fact, I think you and I met through KCRAR.
We did.
Want to say something a little bit about your involvement and how that's been beneficial to you over the years?
I would love to. First of all, back up. I always say, Hallmark people are the greatest people in the world. Now I say realtors are the best people in the world. And, my involvement is, like I say, I go to realtor parties, things like that. I get involved in RPAC. I go on the major investors. I'm actually a Hall of Fame investor and go on those conferences every year and things like that. But, I think one thing that I would encourage people to do is really get to know people outside the realtor world. I do a lot of happy hours with realtors. I do a lot of, KCRAR parties or RPAC parties or YPN parties, things like that. There's a lot of great people out there. Get out and have some fun and enjoy people in this business. And, and it's not a bad thing for business if you're in a 15 offered situation.
That they know you.
They know you, and they know you're going to get things done, and they want to work with you because they know it's not going to be a pain. It's not going to be, you do what you say you're going to do. But I encourage a lot of things when I'm talking to new agents or when people reach out to me and have questions about the business. But I encourage people to get involved with what was called the Government Affairs Committee at the time. It's called the Advocacy Committee now. But it's a great way to network and have fun with other realtors and to really get to know what's going on beyond the day-to-day business, what's going on in D.C., what's going on with legislation that affects us, to actually get to know some of our elected officials, things like that. But, it's one more thing about giving back and trying to make a difference in this business. I'm on, some committees here, professional standards and some things like that. But it's really enjoyable doing that. But like I say, it's all part of relationships as well and things like that.
Brent, who was the person that tapped you to be a major investor? Who told you that you needed to do that? Lee
It was
McClellan.
It just kind of happened. I was at the
Lee. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
It was, probably 20 years ago, I bet. I was at the annual NAR convention in San Diego, and I ran into Lee there, and I said, I've always wanted to get involved, but I don't know what I want to do to get involved with. I get back to KC, I got a letter in the mail saying, you're on the Government Affairs Committee, and so from there I kind of took it and then ended up getting on some other committees through the years. I actually got the Realtor Salesperson of the Year award for Kansas City one year, and I'll never forget going up on the stage, and Christy Saligo had won it the year before. She says, you're going to make a lot of money off this. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, you just see. But, it's been really good for my business because it kind of gives you instant credibility. Like when people are referring, you, they go, hey, this guy was Realtor of the Year for the whole city, and
Yeah.
and or if you're in a competitive situation, once again, 13,000 of what makes you difference,
Right.
is things like that. It's kind of a good resume type of thing, but it's allowed me to get onto some other committees and do some really interesting things and enjoyable things. I love the NAR mid-year meetings in D.C. I've been on those a few times, but went with you one year on that.
Yeah.
And
Brent and I were roomies.
We're actually
DC.
roomies. That's right. That's right. So anyway, but, we phenomenal speakers, things like that. I mean, So there's just a lot of cool things that I've gotten to do just from being involved with RPAC and being involved with KCR and things like that. But, part of it's not the things that I get to hear great speakers and things like that, but things like, just really interesting committees and, but giving back,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate your service to the Realtor organization. I appreciate you taking time today. I appreciate you being a friend. I care a lot about you, and I learned a little bit about you today as well. I always do when I do these, and I appreciate that more than anything. And I want to be respectful of your time. But thank you so much for being with us.
Well, likewise, you're a guy that I've always had on a pedestal. I know you were 30 under 30. You were an obvious choice for that and things like that. But you, from a young age, have unselfishly given back and spent hours and hours, even, with a wife and young kids and things like that. And I'm honored to be your friend. I think it's pretty cool that you got to sing at Lynn Dawson's funeral. But
I'm not gonna. I hate to admit this to you. I didn't know who Len Dawson was when I got that call, and that I know that is so offensive to say, but I didn't. I had no idea. But then I thought it was pretty cool once I figured it out.
Yeah, well, you're one of the young movers and shakers and the highly influential people in our world, and I love to see what you're doing and the difference you're making in the real estate world, not only within KCR but within Reese Nichols and your role in mentoring and really building something special in your office.
Appreciate you, buddy. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it.